All right, today we're going to embark on a pretty fascinating journey, an inward one. We're going to explore three incredible, and yeah, sometimes controversial, maps for the human mind. And they're all designed for one single purpose: to wake up. You know the feeling, right? You go through your day, you react to things, you have the same old thoughts and feelings, but there's this little nagging sense that you're not really in the driver's seat. It's such a common feeling, this sense of being kind of, well, mechanical. So let's just dive right into that idea. This quote from P.D. Ouspensky, who was a student of the mystic G.I. Gurdjieff, it's pretty stark. What he's suggesting is that our ordinary state of consciousness isn't free at all. Nope. That we're basically just machines run by external forces and all these internal programs we don't even know are there. And this idea, it's not just some one-off thing. You see modern psychological systems like the Enneagram echoing the exact same sentiment. They frame it as a kind of sleep, a state where we're not truly conscious of why we do what we do. We're just running on our pre-installed software. So the really crucial question is, how do we wake up? And that's exactly where our three maps come in. We're going to be looking at Aleister Crowley's magic, Gurdjieff and Ouspensky's fourth way, and the Enneagram. Now, try to think of them not as belief systems, but more like these incredibly detailed manuals for the human psyche. Each one is offering a path out of that mechanical sleep. What's so fascinating here is how they all converge. I mean, you've got a ceremonial magician, a Caucasus mystic, and a modern psychological tool, all using completely different language, but pointing to the exact same idea. Crowley calls it true will, the fourth way calls it real consciousness, and the Enneagram calls it essence. They all agree there's a more authentic self buried deep beneath all our programming. Okay, so if we are machines, how in the world do we even begin to see the gears turning? Well, all three of these systems agree on the very first, absolutely essential step: radical self-observation. You have to watch the machine in action. Now this is a total game changer. Ouspensky says we don't have one single I. We have hundreds. There's an I that wants to be healthy, right? And then there's another I that really wants to eat that junk food. There's an I that's kind and an I that's angry. And they're not a team. They're more like a chaotic crowd. And whichever one shouts the loudest gets to run the whole machine for a few minutes. As he put it, one person looks on and another continues the antics. The Enneagram just frames this so perfectly. The whole goal of watching yourself isn't to judge yourself or to fix yourself, but to disidentify. It's about creating a little bit of space and realizing, oh, wait, that's just my personality program running. That's not actually me. That little bit of separation, that's the beginning of freedom. And here's where we get a really practical tool for that observation. The Enneagram suggests we have three main centers that drive our reactions. Is this reaction coming from the body center, which is all about instinct and anger, or the heart center, driven by emotion and self-image, or maybe the head center, which is all about thought and fear? This gives you a framework, a way to start categorizing your own automatic patterns. Crowley comes at this from a totally different angle, but he lands on the exact same principle. He was a huge advocate for a scientific approach to self-discovery. Keep a detailed journal. Treat your life like it's a laboratory. You have to objectively record what rituals, what thoughts, what actions move you closer to your true will and which ones hold you back. It's all about ruthless, empirical data collection on your own inner world. So if we're so contradictory, why don't we see it all the time? Well, Ouspensky has a concept for that: buffers. These are the rationalizations, the justifications we use to smooth things over. A buffer is what lets you be rude to a cashier and then 5 minutes later still think of yourself as a kind person. They're like psychological shock absorbers that keep us from seeing the messy, contradictory reality of our inner machine. And, they keep us comfortably asleep. Observing is that first step, but all of these maps insist that just seeing isn't enough, not even close. Waking up requires a specific kind of conscious effort, a real struggle against our own inertia. And they all call this the work. Now, this diagram, the fourth way's ray of creation, it looks really complex, I know, but the core idea is actually pretty simple. Think of it as a map of reality, from the absolute all the way down to the moon. In our normal sleeping state, we live way down here at the bottom, on Earth, under the influence of the moon. And according to this map, the further down you are, the more mechanical laws you're subject to. We feel free, but we're actually being constantly pushed and pulled by countless forces we can't control. So the work, then, is the conscious effort to climb up this ladder. Like Ouspensky says, every step we make in becoming more conscious sets us more free. By waking up, we start to escape some of those mechanical laws and open ourselves up to what he calls higher influences, a more conscious, a more deliberate way of being. So what does this work actually look like, day to day? This kind of breaks it down. First, you just observe. No judgment. Second, you consciously refuse to identify with those patterns. You create some distance. And third, you actively struggle against the machine. For instance, Ouspensky put a huge emphasis on struggling against negative emotions, which he claimed are always useless, and against just pointless automatic talking. It's really about intentionally jamming the gears of the machine. So we observe the machine, we struggle against it, but, to what end? What's the final destination on these maps? It's all about discovering what lies beyond this machine that we call personality. Both the Enneagram and the Fourth Way make this really crucial distinction. The personality, that's the set of masks and survival strategies we built up when we were kids. It's not who we are, it's our armor. The goal is to reconnect with our essence, our true, unconditioned nature that's been there all along, just buried underneath all the programming. And this, right here, is the core insight. It is the master key that unlocks this entire process. The moment you truly grasp on a really deep level that all your habits, your typical reactions, your defense mechanisms, that this whole structure is not you, that's the moment that real transformation can actually begin. And that's really the ultimate takeaway from all of these sources. You can read about the Enneagram or Crowley or Ouspensky all day long. But just having the intellectual knowledge, that's not the point. They are maps. And a map is totally useless unless you actually get up and start walking the path yourself, using observation and effort to navigate your own inner world. Which leaves us with the fundamental question that all of these maps are designed to help you answer. If you strip away all the automatic reactions, all the learned behaviors, all the masks you wear, what's left? If you are not your personality, then who are you?